It's no wonder that radiance has been erased. Feminine radiance has been erased from conversations about power, because think about how powerful that is and how it totally shifts how we build and create and lead in the world, right?
This is the Miracle Zone.
I ask, I see, I know, I trust, I be.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Miracle Zone podcast, where business leadership and frequency align. And today we're going to talk about power and radiance in leadership. This is such an amazing topic that I love to talk about because it really is redefining the laws of power. And beyond redefining the laws of power, it feels like a reclamation of power, a reclamation of the narrative around the laws of power. That's a mouthful, right? Because what power represents now in this patriarchal culture and this world that we live in is very different than what power represented back before this patriarchal culture came and snatched it up, right? Because what? These days, we look around and a lot of what we see around power has to do with destruction, right? Or it's a big, heavy topic, which is why I think a lot of us struggle sometimes to step into power because of these negative associations, as opposed to the origins of power. Power lies in those who can create, in the power to create. And that's really not convenient narrative for the current culture, because that means that those who are most powerful are those with the biggest power of creation, which means that it has to do with the feminine power of creation and the feminine principle, right? And that's a no-no. And so now power feels like something very different. But if we return to that original power as life force, power as the power to create, then radiance has a very big place on that agenda, a very big place on that agenda. And nobody's talking about radiance and leadership in the context of a male-dominated leadership culture. But if we root back to the original source of power as creator capacity, then radiance has a very large role to play in how we express that power and how that power is expressed through us into the world and into how we lead. So why do I have radiance on the brain? I've been leading the Miracle Frequency Immersion this week, and on one of the days, radiance is one of the qualities that we work with when it comes to being in the miracle zone and attuning to the miracle frequency. So on previous episodes, I've talked about receptivity and being open to receive. So that's one thing that's really important when it comes to leading in your miracle zone. And another thing is this radiance, because that's the frequency that we're putting out. That's the emanation of the light that we're putting out into the world. That's also very much the source of the magnetism that then will be drawing things to us. Because when we're in the miracle zone, it's not just about us being in the flow, it's us being the flow. It's us in the field and the field creating around us, not just us being in our genius zone, optimally creating at our personal best. It's the field and how the field can hold us and work for us, and it can bring things to us too. And so I love to talk about radiance because I see in the immersion and just in general when I'm working with leaders that it's one of the things that if you work on, you start noticing the results really fast, really fast. For example, I know in myself, if I've been spending some time doing this radiance work, and by radiance work, what do I mean? I mean working with my auric field and working with my radiant body. So we have various different bodies, our physical body, or we have mental bodies, and then we have our radiant body. Again, working with this outer rim of the radiant field, also working with the arc line, I find has a big impact too. So when I've been doing the radiance work, immediately people notice. Immediately people notice. So for example, I'll have people say things to me like, wow, you look different. Have you lost weight? And I have to chuckle inside because I've lost 0 weight, maybe some energetic weight, definitely some energetic weight, right? Because that's what we're doing. We're polishing the aura, or what I like to call blinging the aura. And that obviously involves clearing any scumminess that is in the auric field and working with any tears or indentations or anything like that. But immediately I'll get comments like that. Or last year, a friend of mine was like, "What?" And I said, "What? What's happening?" And she just reacted so funnily to me. She's like, "Your aura is so golden right now. What did you do?" We work with people who sense things, who feel things, who are also intuitive. Our clients, our collaborators, they see it. Some of them see it very clearly, right? But even the ones who don't see it can really sense it. Something is different here. Something is different here. And that can happen really quickly. And so I have this radiance on the brain right now because I'm leading this miracle frequency immersion. And on one of the days, we focus on radiance. And so because we're doing the radiance work, immediately I start noticing shifts in how my field is working in the world and what opportunities it's drawing in, and also how it's working the field of those that are participating in the immersion. So I remember last year, there was one participant, and she was sharing, "Oh my goodness, I have a date. I haven't had a date in over a year. I've been so busy taking care of my mother who's sick. I haven't even been thinking about dating. And all of a sudden, somebody just popped up and I have a date this weekend." And I also drew the attention of 2 or 3 other people. And so she was sharing that, and there was somebody else that was saying, "Oh my God, I feel like such a rock star. I just walk in and it's like everybody's looking at me," right? And so it's that emanation of light. And when light emanates, people notice. And that's a power, right? And I think somehow in the beauty industry, we have put radiance in a little box of be radiant, be beautiful. And this quite disempowering, as opposed to owning that the reason that it's drawing so much attention is because it's not because it's beautiful, but because it's fertile creation energy has entered the building. Everybody pay attention. Can you feel the power of that? And it's something that I notice as well because I'm doing the work too and holding the space for the work too. It's like this week, on one day, somebody showed up on my doorstep with money that they owed me that I totally forgot they owed me, like waving it at me. "Hey, I have money for you. Yes, please and thank you." My DMs, my messages are blowing up with some attention, some male gaze attention. And I think part of this piece is because we're working with a miracle frequency and not with manifestation, it's not like I put that out there that I'm trying to call somebody in right now. Or last year, the participant that I mentioned earlier, she wasn't even thinking about relationship. And here it was drawn in through her radiance, not through manifestation or any writing intentions and visualizing. No, right? It was miracle placed on the altar of what is available that we weren't even thinking of. Another thing too is I've just been approached to do a guest feature in a mastermind for a dear friend of mine, and other opportunities to be in different spaces, to share my message, to share my wisdom. And so we get approached for other things, for visibility. It might be on stage, might be on somebody's podcast. It might be, again, the radiance feelers are out and the light is shining and people are like, "Wow, I see her. I see her. I see that she's here with a powerful message or with something powerful to share or with a powerful mission. Let me get a little closer. Let me learn. Let me bring her to my community. Let me get her on my stage." This is how it translates into the business aspect too. It's not just about radiating and like radiating for the sake of radiating, though that feels great, but also from a leadership perspective, it's really powerful to get you in rooms. And even when you walk into a room, to get noticed immediately. You know those people who walk in and everybody looks. It's not necessarily the most gorgeous people or whatever they're wearing or whatever. It's the energy, it's that radiance that they're emanating. Radiance is also on my brain because of this conversation that I had with a friend of mine this weekend that made me laugh, because it was just the perfect example of how This radiance is a power that is exerted because it reminded me that radiance is a power and that radiance is something that we can use to create and also to influence the world around us. So I was speaking to this friend of mine and she was saying how she's built up her entire team for her startup. She's about to launch a startup. She's working on an app. And we were talking, she's asked me to be an advisor on her team. But I think aside from me, every single other person on her team, she said she never put any adverts out, no job descriptions, didn't even ask around for people. She said, I just do my witchy magic and then I just show up in the world and then they just come to me. She's like, there's this one specific spot, I think. There's this one festival I go to. It's once a month. And at that festival, I always meet somebody that I need on my team. I don't even know who I need on my team, but you bet I meet them there. And these are people with very specific skills, including app development, including marketing specifically for the niche that she's launching her startup in. It's very specific people that are very hard to find normally. And she will just attend an event and end up in a conversation with the exact person, right? And it's her walking in with that radiance, open, not expecting, not even knowing necessarily who she needs. It's not necessarily a manifestation, if you will, but there it is by chance, by miracle. Here's exactly who you need. Oh, by the way, in case you didn't know who you needed, this is exactly who you need, not just in person, but also in skill. And so the power of that and how we create in the world through our radiance really shifts the foundations of how we think about power and creation and leadership, doesn't it? It's no wonder that radiance has been erased. Feminine radiance has been erased from conversations about power, because think about how powerful that is and how it totally shifts how we build and create and lead in the world, right? Part of that work of radiance, part of it is, I mentioned before, working with our auric field, blinging the auric field, letting that shine out. And part of that work, which is what we do in the Miracle Frequency Immersion, as well as at a deeper level in my Pillar of Light Miracle Mind, which is part mastermind, part miracle vortex. Part of what we do in both of these spaces is work with not just the amplification of the radiance, but also the things that have been keeping us dimming. Because what happens when the radiance is fully expressed is all the eyeballs come, right? Everything flocks, all the opportunities flock, and that can be a little overwhelming. Opportunities are great, right? That's power. Options, opportunities, different pathways, different people asking you to be in different places, different opportunities to offer different programs to different clients, different opportunities to be on different stages. You get more options, right? And with that comes more capacity to impact, more capacity to bring in abundance, but also it's a bigger responsibility and a bigger platform, right? And so part of what we do is, okay, not just amplification of the radiance, but what has been keeping us from allowing that light to shine out like a powerful beacon, like a light blazing, and then all the insects are like coming charging at it. Yesterday I was eating at a restaurant and my son said, ew, look. And I looked up in the corner, there was a light, and it was a really bright light, and it was like, it was like all the little flies were just swarming it. It looked disgusting. It was like far away from the area where we were eating, but it was happening so intensely that we could see it. I think it was like the building next door or something. And it's a powerful force when it's activated. So what's keeping us from activating that powerful force within us? So my invitation to you is to think about what are some of these things that are keeping me from allowing my radiance to expand, to magnify, to amplify. And so some of the things that we've been discussing with the participants in the immersion, and that also come up in the Pillar of Light Miracle Mind, are, so the first thing I want to really emphasize is we only shine to the extent that we feel safe to shine, right? It can feel a lot, as I mentioned, to have all these opportunities come at you, all these eyeballs come at you at once, right? So that's one thing, right? If you think of a butterfly fresh out, used to be a caterpillar, kind of discreet. All of a sudden, we got wings and we're gorgeous. All of a sudden, the little kid comes and is interested. It's, oh my gosh, it's a caterpillar. It's like groping at you. You can no longer just hide. The predators will see you as well, right? You attract eyeballs from both opportunities and those who want to support you and want to welcome your wisdom in, just as you attract projections and judgments from those who are being triggered by your shine. So that's one area that's really typical. It's because we don't feel safe to. And sometimes it's due to something in our life, experiences we've had when we've been at our highest and brightest. I know our relationship for me ended because I was just in my highest emanation. It was triggering all sorts of insecurity in the person that I was with, and it just didn't work out. It was too much. It was too triggering. And so that dynamic was not healthy and it completed. So that's one area. Another area where this shows up is that all of a sudden we stand out. Standing out means being different, right? Somebody in the immersion this week said, I feel like an alien. And somebody else said, I know that the place where I'm going, nobody can go with me to. It's a path that I need to walk alone. And I need to release a lot of people that are currently in my life, right? And so when we are in this butterfly state and we look around and the others are still in their caterpillar state, again, there's no hierarchy. Butterflies and caterpillars, nobody is better, right? Everybody is where they is. It can still bring up guilt in us. We might want to just drop a little string and have all the caterpillars hold on to the string and take them for a fly, because flying is so amazing and they don't even know. And we love them and we want them to fly with us. And so this is another area where all of a sudden we're different and we move differently and we create differently and we lead differently, right? But that's what leadership is about, being at the forefront, about being the pioneer, right? And to pioneer, we have to be willing to do that. And the third area I just want to mention, this also came up when we were exploring this week, is it's really difficult to be in this radiance, to be in this joy, to be in this expression of light when we are living in a world that also has a lot of darkness, that also has a lot of suffering, that also has a lot of atrocities happening, right? And to not turn a blind eye to that or bypass that. But how can we be with the both? How can we be with the both of being in this beautiful emanation, in this beautiful energy, and being this beautiful presence, this beacon, this lighthouse in the world, when the world is dark? But that's exactly why. And one of the immersion participants said, this is exactly why I lean in more, because we need more light. We need more light, not a light that's forgetting the darkness exists, but a light that sees the darkness and radiates into the darkness. And that's why I do the work that I do. So I want you to sit with those three areas, see which one might resonate the most with you in this moment. Which one are you really feeling is one of the reasons that might be keeping you to hold back on that radiance. And what's something you can do to release that? What's something that you can do to shift that a little bit because of what becomes possible when you flip that switch on or flip that switch brighter? And if you do want to do that with me, you're totally welcome to join us in the Miracle Frequency Immersion. You can get instant access to these sessions and do this radiance work and do these explorations. And we work with frequency to do the auric blinging. We also work with reprogramming our subconscious and working on identifying what some of these areas are that are blocking us from this fullest emanation that we are capable of showing up in the world as we lead and as we live. And you can also reach out to get on the wait list for the Pillar of Light Miracle Mind. I'll share in the links how to do that. And regardless, please just spend at least a minute right now, just tuning into what that is for you right now that might be keeping you from allowing that fullest radiance to be expressed in this world, in this moment, in how you are showing up and how you are leading. I'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Miracle Zone. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a transmission. And if today's episode and conversation resonated, leave a review and share it with a fellow visionary leader. In the links, you can access my free Miracle Business Blueprint, the 7-part framework I use with my clients to create a thriving, scalable, and self-sustaining business that gives you more freedom, not less. Plus, you'll receive a guided process to identify where to focus first so you can spend more time leading in your miracle zone right away. Let's build the new as a collective for the collective. Together, we're not just creating miracles, we're living them. Until next time, stay in the miracle zone.